Hey coaches, Clint Rutledge here with Coaching to Change Lives and Rutledge Development. You know, we find ourselves in the midst of a challenging time, and a time where we kind of say this is really unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this in our nation's history, where we're confined to home. And you know, we wonder in these moments, if you're like me, you kind of go through moments of anxiety and concern about where we headed. And then you go through moments of, well, how do I become more productive during this time and do something constructive with where I'm at and the situation I've been given? As coaches, that's somewhat in our nature. As former athletes, we're not the kind to just stand by and watch things happen. We want to get out there and make something happen. We want to be productive. And so over the course of the next few weeks, as you're at home, I want to hopefully provide a few things for you as coaches. Things to help you get better. I want to provide you some questions, some things we can do that can help you go back and really go back to the basics. You know, when we face adversity in a game or in a season, what do we typically do? We go back to the fundamentals. We go back and we say, okay, let's get better at what we need to be doing best. Well, maybe that's a good time to do that right now. As a coach, as an athletic director, maybe it's time to take a step back and say, you know what, let me go back and just say, why do I even do what I do? Why do I coach? Let me ask you that question. Why do you coach? Really think that through. Is it just to get a paycheck? I doubt it, because there's things you could do that would make more money. You coach, and you got into coaching for a specific reason. Let's revisit that. And then let's talk about how you can get better at your craft. Better at what you do, how you can become one of the best coaches in the state. You know, in 1980, there was a young man that was a coach that he had that mentality. He wanted to become one of the best coaches in the state. He wanted to be a head coach. He was a defensive coordinator at the time. So in 1980, he went to a conference put on by a guy named Zig Ziglar. And Ziglar at that conference shared a statistic that would forever change the way this young man coached, and believe it or not, change the way people coach all over the state and all over the nation eventually. The statistic was this. Ziglar said in a study done at Harvard University, they showed that in any task you undertake, 85% of your success is determined by your attitude. Only 15% of your success is determined by your aptitude, your talents, or your capabilities. Well, that young coach got to thinking about that statistic, and he thought, you know, if that's true, and I actually believe that it is, because anytime you approach something with a poor attitude, you are not going to be successful. So attitude is key. And he thought, what if, just what if, we became the best coaches in the state at coaching attitude? You know, right now we spend all of our time coaching the aptitude, the 15%. And if 85% of that is not being coached, what if we became great at that? What would happen? So he went back to this school and he sat down, and the staff and everybody talked about it. Man, they went to work. It was a fantastic group of men. And they ended up putting together something they called the classroom. And in the classroom, they would take the kids off the field, out of the weight room, and they would put them in a classroom, and they would talk about things that it took to be great at life. Things like setting goals and integrity and attitude and going after your dreams and having character. They talked about those things, and they shared stories with the kids, and they tried to inspire them on how important their attitude really was. Well, the question was, did it work? Well, by 1982, this group was in the semifinals. 1983, they won their first state championship. But 1984, this young man took over as head coach. By 1988, they were back in the state championship. From 1988 to 1998, they were in 7 state championship games, and they won 4 of them. The other 3, they were in the semifinals. It was an unprecedented run of success, and it can all be traced back to when they decided to coach attitude. So let me ask you, what are you doing to coach attitude? How can you get better at coaching attitude? What can you do during this time when you're stuck at home and life is kind of turned upside down to prepare yourself so when you get back to work, you can be one of the best coaches in the state at coaching attitude? Well, my hope is to provide you some resources and some things over these next several weeks that will help you do just that. We believe tremendously in the importance of teaching character and using sports to teach kids how to live life with character and to be successful in life. That young man, as I'm sure many of you have guessed, was D.W. Rutledge, who is my father. He wrote a curriculum with Dennis Parker called Coaching to Change Lives, which helped put me through college and has now become a platform online that we're using to try to help coaches all over the state be great at what they do. So I will see you next time. And again, my name is Clint Rutledge, and as always, do right, do your best, and let God take care of the rest.